Hey guys, it's Han, and today we have the Tamiya CR01 Rock Soccer. This is one of my favorite trucks that I own, and it's a truck that I've wanted for a very, very long time. Actually was one of on my my dream RC car list as a kid. So when I got it about 2 or 3 years ago, I can't quite remember exactly, but I got it for Christmas, I believe, maybe 2 years ago, that I bought myself. When I found it, I was just absolutely ecstatic for it, and I built it up, and I just loved everything about it. Just the way everything looked, especially after I got this Rock Soccer body painted up, I just absolutely fell in love with it, and it is, for the most part, my main crawler at this point. Even though it's not the most scale, even though it's not the best performing, I think it's okay enough at everything to kind of be my main rig. But unfortunately, the performance side of it it's pretty okay. But when I first got it with all the stock parts, it was pretty unfortunate. It was pretty trash. It didn't perform very well. I took it to California on a business trip to drive it on some beach rocks, and even on like really jagged beach rocks, it struggled to get traction. It struggled to put down power. It was just absolute mess, and it didn't perform very well, and I was quite disappointed and quite frustrated with it, especially because it is one of my favorite trucks, and it was kind of disappointing to see that uh, a truck that I love so much, and a truck that was quite expensive, even in stock form, was performing worse than even like a basic like Red Cat Gen 7, or even a lot of just HSP like Chinese crawlers nowadays perform better than this. So it was quite disheartening. So as soon as I got back from California, actually while I was at California, I ordered a bunch of upgrade parts for it. So it would finally kind of live up to some sort of performance, so I can keep up with my friends' trucks, and so I could enjoy it the way I wanted to a little bit more. So I ordered a bunch of parts, spent a bunch of money on it because they're mostly all Tamiya hop-ups, and Tamiya hop-ups, as you know, if you know, are very, very expensive. So I probably spent another the value of the whole truck of parts on it. And for that, it doesn't look much different, and that's just how it is with these things. But you can definitely tell a vast difference in performance when you drive it. So I'm going to talk about the truck and the upgrades I did here real quick. I'll show you real quick some of the driving footage of it kind of struggling at the beach, and then how it ran after the upgrade, so you can kind of see the difference. I know it's not the same surface and not the same environment, but you can kind of get the gist of how it was performing. But starting off, you can see the body I painted up for it. I really like Hondas, but there unfortunately isn't any Honda trail truck or Honda crawlers out there that are very common anyway. So I just decided to make this one my Honda trail truck, so you can kind of see my Honda badge on there. And then I painted it up in the Honda off-road racing scheme, kind of like their Ridgeline Baja truck and whatever. So I'm quite happy with this. I don't know if this was on it last time, but I do have a snorkel on here by Night Customs. This was meant for a SCX10 honcho, but it fit perfectly here, so I just glued it on there. And then for the body, I also added some lights on here. You can see I have headlights on here, which was not there last time. So I have some square headlights to kind of make it look more like a Honda Passport, like an old Honda Passport or something maybe. So some square headlights on there, they look pretty good. I'm quite happy with it. One of them is kind of crooked, but you can't really tell, so I'm not too worried about that. And then in the back, because it's technically a race car, the tail lights are still stickers, but it does have red lights at the back here. And I also made it like this so I won't have to um, I won't have to like worry about dirt or anything getting in the lights back here, or like dragging, because this part of the body kind of drags a little bit sometimes. So having it up here lets the lights be a little bit safer, I think. And then you can see the rack back here. I talked about this in my other video for the CR01, but this is for soap. you're supposed to put soap in here, but I saw it laying in my bathroom, so I just picked it up and slapped it on here, and that's basically how that happened. And I think that also looks pretty cool. And it is a steel cage, so it is starting to rust a little bit, but I think that adds the patina a bit. So I'm not too upset about that. You can see also the wheels are slightly different. The wheels are not actually different. They're the same stock plastic beadlock wheels. I have I put more wheel weights in here, so each wheel is a little bit heavier for a little bit lower center of gravity, as well as these rings are the Tamiya Hop Up aluminum beadlock rings. I think they look cool. I like the star design on here, and it being aluminum, it adds a little bit more weight to the wheels, so that's why I kind of threw those on. I'm not quite happy with how all the screws or cap screws and like stick out, because they do get scratched pretty easily, but it is what it is. But yeah, overall, I think the wheels do look pretty good. I think at some point I might paint the outer rings at least white. We'll see. But it looks pretty good as it is right now. The tires also look like stock tires, but these are actually the softer compound version of the stock tires. So I saw these on clearance on TamiyaUSA.com, so I picked up a set, and they look just like the stock ones, which I really like the look of the stock tires. Any other aftermarket 2.2 tire that I found were either too wide or too tall, made it look a little weird. So I really wanted to keep the stock tires, but just wanted them to be a little bit softer and compound, and these fit the ticket perfectly. The one thing about these tires though, and this wheel combo, is it tends to collect moisture really easily. So even if you're going through a very like small stream, even a little bit of water that gets in here, it's gonna fill up the tires and kind of make your foams really gross. So these are definitely these definitely need to be kept on a pretty dry surface, which is why they're quite dirty. So that is something to note. You can change the foams out, maybe change the wheels out, maybe, but the way I have it set up, I can't really drive this in wet conditions. I can only drive it in pretty dry conditions, which is fine. It is kind of like a race truck kind of thing anyway. And then you can see from down here, some changes I've also made. I've put the aluminum center skid plate here, which does a couple things. It lowers the center of gravity because it's quite a heavy aluminum piece right here, as well as eliminate the need for the nuts that you have to put in behind these screws to screw these on, because the aluminum part is threaded. Lowers the center of gravity, as well as, if you know, the stock CR01 skid plate is very bumpy, has a lot of bracing on it, and it's not very smooth. So this adds a nice smooth surface for the thing to like slide on. So that looks very nice. I will be painting this black at some point, just so it looks a little stealthier. But for now, again, it looks fine. And I like how everything is countersunk, and it's being a Tamiya part, it's a direct bolt on, and it works very nicely. You can see I also have the raised, like the angled lower arms on here as well in aluminum. They add a little bit more stiffness to the arms with their kind of their design, because even though the stock ones I believe were still aluminum, they were a little bit light duty aluminum. So these add a little bit of a nice look, as well as allow for a lot better clearance here. The stock links sat around like that, so it definitely lowered your ground clearance a little bit. So these give you a lot more clearance and allow you to climb over a lot more obstacles. So quite happy with these. I could have gotten the metal drive shafts, but I decided that I didn't need to, because this thing doesn't have a slipper clutch. I rather snap drive shafts than have to repair the transmission, so I didn't really do anything with that. You can also kind of see here with the shocks, I'll take the body off in a second, but the shocks are also different. Let's take the body off. You can see my little driver figure here that's just mounted to the battery tray. The shocks here are the G-Made G transition shocks from my GS01 G-Made Komodo. They didn't work very well on the Komodo, but they work absolutely fantastic on the CR01. The CR01 has a very common issue where the shocks like to leak a lot, but because of the way these are built, even when they're mounted, they don't seem to leak at all, if any. So I really like the look of how these shocks look on here, and not leaking oil is also a very, very big plus. So, and they work very well. Um, and because the CR01 kind of uses the shocks in a reverse manner, the way these are built, it kind of works out perfectly. And I'm actually really, really happy with that. Let's see, what else did I change? I also changed the ESC because the ESC I had in here was from my Axial SCX10 deadbolt, the original one. And for some reason, that ESC didn't like to be put under any sort of load very much, because anytime it got bound up or anytime the servos got bound up, the ESC would just like shut off and it wouldn't provide the power. So that was really frustrating. And switching out for this, like just basic hobby wing ESC, it definitely puts down the power a lot more consistently. It's somehow able to handle more load, because even when it's all like bound up and like trying to put down a lot of power, it'll just put down the power. Because I originally thought the motor was too weak, but it was the ESC, and after I replaced the ESC, it just works so much better. Helping the motor and the ESC is I put a full ball bearing set in here. Out of the box, the transmission has a ball bearings in it, but the axles do not. And I went ahead and put all fully rubber sealed ball bearings in here to help everything run a little bit smoother, and increase battery life and performance. The other versions of the CR01, I believe, come with all full ball bearings. The Rock Soccer, which is the cheaper version, doesn't come with bearings for the axles. It comes with bushings, so that is something to keep in mind if you are looking for a CR01. The barrel springs, I also did buy another set of barrel springs, but it turns out it already has those barrel springs on here. So I thought they might have like different spring rates or something like that. No, it's basically these exact same ones. So I didn't put those on here, but they're technically an upgrade over a regular CR01. And then the final piece I put on here, is at the top here. You can see this rear plate is usually a plastic piece. I have replaced it with Tamiya's carbon fiber hop-up part. So quite an expensive part here, but also lowers the center of gravity from the top here. So it'll kind of help with performance that way. The CR01 is a very top-heavy crawler, so anything to lower the center of gravity definitely helps. You can see the frame rails are very thick, so it is what it is. But helping with the axle weight, the wheel weights and the skid plate and the carbon fiber plate up here, everything's a little bit lower to the lower, so really helps with performance there. So really, really happy with all the upgrades that I put on here. And I think all that's left after, 13 and a half minutes of me rambling about it. Let's see this thing run. So I know it's a long video, but some final thoughts about my CR01. I still absolutely love it. I love it even more with the upgrades I put on it. Monetarily, if you're trying to look for a budget crawler or like trying to get into RC or like RC crawlers, in a reasonable budget, this is definitely not the way to go. This is you only want to do this if you are an absolute fan of the Tamiya CR01 and you're an absolute Tamiya fanboy like me. Um, and you have the luxury of, or irresponsibility maybe, of spending lots and lots of way too much money on a single RC car. So monetarily, definitely not worth it. Don't even think about it. Literally get literally anything else. It's better than getting this. But for me and my enjoyment, I didn't really care about how much money I put into it. I just wanted a good CR01, and I think I've started to achieve that with the setup here. For now, I think I'm pretty happy with where it sits. I might pick up a few more upgrades here and there, but for now, I'm really happy with where it is. I've already spent way too much money on it. So this might be where it ends. It might be where it sits for a while, but um, I still absolutely love it, and I drive it just all the time. So, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video about my CR01, even though it's quite long video. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys also have a CR01 or also like a CR01, tell me in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.